Welcome back to the That's Rank podcast, where we rank your ideas on the fly. My name is Liam.
I'm Taryn.
And I am Rob.
We're back here for another week, guys. Just the three of us after having lovely Dean with us last week. Wasn't that a treat? Wasn't that a delight?
It was a treat. Bless him.
Bless his cotton socks. He was good at it too, wasn't he? He was a natural professional.
He was
He
good.
was
Professional.
Yeah, very
He
smart.
challenged us intellectually. That's
Did
for
he
sure.
not? Did he not just do that? Did he not just do that? But no, we say thank you to Dean, and we extend once again the invitation to anyone who would like to join us. Because as a reminder, little Miss Muffet over here, she's taken off. She's going away
Literally
while.
going to submit my visa tomorrow.
tomorrow. It's exciting times for you. It's
Very
exciting times.
exciting.
We love to hear it. So,
I do enjoy that you're sitting. It's a bit like Into the Spider-Verse, Taryn. You're like That's Rank Noir.
Yeah.
Like you're
Well, I
in
feel like I needed to
noir.
treat you guys because I have been sitting in bed while I've had my life just surrounding me. And my housemate, poor Tim, shout out Tim, has been keeping the volume on the TV quite low. And I thought, you know what? I need
bless
to make
him.
use of this beautiful apartment that I'm living in. This is the
Yep.
reading room. I would do a little tour, but it's very dark in here. So
Listen, the fact that you're living in an apartment block that has a reading room says all it needs to say
Fancy.
about
It's
the
schmancy.
bougie nature
Yeah.
of where you're currently, your current abode.
Absolutely. And if you're
Now-
listening to this conversation going, what the hell are they talking about? This is a perfect example of why you can be watching us on YouTube. Because we are
Get
now
onto
on
YouTube.
the tubes. So get on there. That's Rank Pod.
Yes,
And find us
please
and watch.
do. And when they go there, Rob, and when they go there, Taryn, what are they going to find? What do we do? What do we do in this lovely little podcast that we're?
Question.
Yeah, it's a very important question. Who wants to answer?
I'm glad you asked because I consistently forget every week, and I'm like, "What is it? What am I doing again?" We come together with friends. We talk about the things we love. We talk about the things we hate. We rank, and we do that through ranking, Liam.
We do.
So
we do.
we're going to spin a wheel. We're going to give it a subject. We're going to
Yep.
each pick one of our favorite or worst things on that subject. And then we're going to face them
Ooh.
off in a battle to
the death.
and we end up with a combined 1, 2, and 3.
Absolutely.
rank.
Yeah.
They
A
love to
literal
see it.
rank.
We rank. A literal,
Really
literal
challenging.
rank.
It's challenging because we only get 5 minutes each to rank.
We do.
And at the end, we then have to rank each other's ranks, which is
Rank each
yeah,
other's
it's good
ranks.
fun. It's good fun. We rank the ranks. It's
It
a
is
big
good
rank
fun.
bank over here.
It's a massive rank bank. We're ranking all the time. So now, like we said before, it's your ideas. You listening at home, you listening to this wonderful podcast or watching us. But we need some ideas. We're always looking for more ideas to chuck on this lovely wheel back here. Taryn, please tell everybody how. Perchance,
can
can
they
they
write
tell
in?
us? Yeah, tell
Well,
us how.
Pray tell, Taz.
Tell.
Well, they can, like
Spill the
Rob
beans.
mentioned before, we are on the YouTubes at That's Rank Pod, but we are
yes.
also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are most
Mhm.
active on Instagram. If you want to drop into our DMs, slide on in there and drop us a message at That's Rank Pod on those channels, and also at gmail.com. So, yeah,
Yes.
you can't really go wrong.
No, we're literally everywhere. And we've got
Can't
That's
go
Rank Pod at everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, in and around everything and everywhere. Spotify, any streaming platform that you get your podcasts on.
100%.
It's a special bonus
pushing
offer
up
as
to
well. If you become
Oh,
a
yeah,
fan,
what's that, Rob?
if you subscribe and give us 5 stars and become an actual fan, then you literally can't do any wrong in life. It becomes a superpower.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And
Yeah.
you just go through the rest of your life making all the right decisions, all the best decisions. You
That's right.
can't do no wrong. If there was,
You can't.
we've done a best superpowers episode, but the ability to not do no wrong, I think that would be a good power. And that's the power you
I ain't
can
going to do no wrong.
have if you
That would be an
subscribe us.
amazing power. amazing.
This is when
It'd
you
be
need an
amazing.
asterisk to say, like, all terms and conditions. That's not actual superpower.
Supporting the That's Right Pod will not actually be superpowers.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we
Are
spin the
you-
wheel?
Are you ready for me to do the old spinneroo?
Shall we spin the wheel? Have we covered everything?
Spin it.
Look, anything we haven't covered, we'll cover later. We got time. All right. Oh,
We
I
got
did it.
time,
I did it
baby.
again. I nearly decapitated myself. Give me a second. All right, here we go.
The headphones take no prisoners.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
You don't have the
Look at
topics
this.
ready, do you?
No, of course I don't have the topics ready. Give me a second. All right, number four. Okay. Interesting.
4. I don't think we've had 4 before.
No fall before?
No fall before.
Before. I think that's correct.
Taryn's got lurkers behind her. It's fantastic. It's great. We've got
Waiting for them to put a sign up against the window. I love you, Mom.
our lovely listener, Shane. Lovely Shane has given
Yay.
us this topic. What is the worst thing about getting older?
Oh.
What is the worst thing about getting
Oh.
older? I mean, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Like, we'll literally rank anything. Like, literally anything. Like, we get some weird and wacky ideas. And this one is a bit strange.
Should we go down by age in terms of who starts?
Excuse me?
Rob, I reckon. Rob,
Wait, what are you trying to say,
You have more
Taryn?
experience than me for no reason.
well, actually, Rob, Rob, I've got a better idea.
I'm aging
As the
gracefully,
oldest
though,
one
so I've
here-
got nothing. There's nothing bad about getting older. Sorry. What are you
Aging
saying, Lynn?
gracefully.
I was just, as the oldest one here, I think that the respect should go your way, and you should
The
dictate
older.
who goes first. Should we go youngest to oldest? Should we go middle up and then back around? Don't do that one. And then
Ooh.
if you say anything other than what I want you to say, then Taryn's idea wins.
I just want to say that when I said aging gracefully, Taryn goes, aging gracefully?
I was just going to gloss past that.
I was like,
This is
what?
a good
That's
Yeah.
how I said it.
Oh,
I thought you said aging like disgracefully, and I was like, aging gracefully is the saying.
oh,
God.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to
Good-
correct you because
yeah,
with my
good save,
life
Taryn.
experience,
Good save,
I
Taryn, yeah.
think that always goes down really well.
Yeah, that's right.
What, telling someone they're aging disgracefully.
I've
No.
definitely done a bit of both, to be honest. I've done a bit of both.
You
I've
don't
aged
look a day
disgracefully, aged
over
gracefully.
25.
Wait a second. Oh, that's not true, but that's really nice of you, Taryn, to say.
I
Thank you.
have had many compliments, actually. I've had many compliments from people. When I've actually
Okay.
told them my age, they're like, no way. They're like, no way. And I'm like, is this a good
Should
thing?
we expose our ages now that people can see us?
Well, we can do. I mean, we're talking about,
Sure.
the worst thing about getting older. I mean, Rob and I have had some life experience. Not to say that you haven't, Taryn, but we got a little bit of time on you. Taryn, how old are you?
Me? Moi? I'm
Yeah,
28 as of
28.
April this year.
As of April.
Holy
Wow.
smokes.
I am the middle child of this trio, and I will be turning 38 in September. So I'm
10
currently,
years.
so I'm currently 37 and a half. And I'll have you know
nice.
that I celebrate half birthdays still, so I'm still a child at heart.
What month is your birthday?
September. So I'm nearly there.
Okay.
I'm nearly there. A couple of months. And what about you, big fella?
I've hit the next decade past that, Liam. I have the bright and beautiful age of 40.
The big 4-0.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say a decade over 38. And I was like, there's no fucking way you're close to 50.
That's why everyone tells him he looks so good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I see it now. Close to 50. Bro, you had me. I need your skincare routine right now.
The worst thing's about getting older. I mean,
Yeah, none of us are particularly old. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna stick by it.
As a nearly 50-year-old, I'm going to stick by that.
I'm gonna stick by it. We're all ripe spring chickens. I remember the first spring chicken.
It was very strange. Out of
Yes,
season.
that's right. It was the winter of 1917. So yes, as the older person of the podcast, then that's a privilege. It's a privilege. It is. It's a privilege to get older,
is.
and I'm grateful
We
for it.
respect
Hey,
you.
listen.
Every day.
Listen. There's some cultures and a lot of cultures. Respect is basically age based. Like the older you are, it's just built in respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that very often in Western cultures. I'm just going to say.
I don't think we have
But
that in
it's-
this podcast. I'm just going to say, but anyway. I will say,
I'm gonna
if
shut
I
it
give you
down.
life advice, is that find friends that are older than you, because then you'll always be younger than them. And fortunately, I'm the youngest child, so no matter how old I get, my sisters will always be older.
That's
And
clever.
It's very reassuring.
Well played, Rob. Well played.
Is it out of curiosity? Is anyone like the maternal or paternal figure of their friendship groups in terms of like older but not age older, like older in the way that you behave? A
No, that's
caretaker.
definitely not me.
Yeah. No shit. Wow.
No,
Sorry, that was too quick. Wow. Oh my god, you don't say. That's crazy.
No, I take more of a carer role. I'm a good listener. Like people come
Yep.
to me with problems and stuff like that. So I guess that's more of a maternal quote unquote thing, I
Yep.
suppose.
Yep.
I definitely don't play catch with any of my friends. I'm not the paternal type. But no, I
Nice.
think I would. That's my role
Yeah, but
within there.
do you feel like the oldest in your group, like the one that looks after everyone?
Oh no. Oh, I do feel like I look after people. I feel like I have a responsibility to look after
Yeah.
people because a lot of people I know are younger than me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
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 And
No,
Rob, how
sure.
do you feel looking after us?
Well, you've been a big disappointment.
Now there it is. The paternal in ya. It's feeling very familiar.
Yeah, I like to catch up with my friends. I like to put them down. I like to set high expectations for them, put them under pressure.
Mhm.
Sometimes have a few too
Mhm.
many drinks and just trance around their house and yell.
Nice.
Just all the good stuff that parents can do. Sorry,
Bringing
it might
insight
be.
into your childhood.
Actually,
You
no,
okay?
I'm joking,
Okay.
but I grew up I was very fortunate in my childhood, and I grew up to two fantastic parents. So I was just, making a joke, Taryn, making a joke.
Yeah. No, same. My dad has never said he's disappointed in me, just for clarification. So shout out to good paternal figures.
Yeah. But yeah, look, it is a funny thing as you get older. It is a funny thing. Oh, do you want me to just jump in? Should we start to rank?
Yeah.
I think so. I think the discussion will naturally take its course.
Yeah.
Let me
And it
get the.
naturally went my way. As the youngest child, I am thriving in this space.
I mean, Rob, did you say you were going to go first?
He just said, let's get it underway. Go on.
I said,
Go
let's get
on.
underway. Let's get underway. But no, I like to stall. I'm like being the older person. I'm like at the checkout. I just want to have a bit of a chit chat. I just want to hold things up a little bit before we get into it.
Okay.
Is that the worst thing about getting older?
Can I ask a question actually before you start?
Sure.
The other week we went out for burgers, and
Yeah.
you were asking every question under the sun of the waiter
Yeah.
about the burgers and which one's good, which one's good. Now you said what did you call it? You called it a something orderer, a inquisitive orderer. Is that what you called it?
A bit of an
Or something like
inquisitive order. Yeah.
Has that developed as you've got older, or has it always been the Rob Pollard way?
It's always been. It's been. It's like the dawn of a new sun, Liam. It's just been glinting, poking
Yeah.
its head over the horizon for a few years.
Mhm.
But as I get older, I start to reflect on things, and I'm like, I've got one shot. I'm at this burger restaurant. I may only have one shot at this burger restaurant, and I don't want to.
High stakes.
It's high stakes. I don't want to mess it up. I want to make sure I get the best thing on the menu. So I have
Sure.
no fear of having a chat to the waiter, and I see them roll their eyes a little bit when I ask the questions.
Yeah, it's
But I
because
just
they're all
like
younger
these.
than Taryn, and they're going, "Oh, here's this guy. Who's this guy asking us all these
He
questions?"
actually
Yeah,
wants to know
man.
which favorite burger is mine.
But
Yeah,
this is
the chicken burger's good, I
every
guess.
restaurant has like a couple of items which are better than the others, right? And like I try to suss it out. Like
I
maybe
think you went the
my
correct way by
shyness
not.
is gone a little bit.
I think you went the correct way by not getting that carbonara pot pie thing, because that actually looks really teensy tiny
Yeah,
from looking at other people ordering it, and I would have been disappointed to receive that on that night where I was oh so hungry.
yeah, 100%. And I could see that in the guys' eyes as well because they did have a special that was on the gram, and I was excited by it. But I saw in his eyes, I was like, "What do you think about this?" And he just kind of
He didn't say anything.
there was
He
that
dead-eyed.
there was that disappointment. Like a father to a son. There was that disappointed look.
Unfamiliar with that one.
So am I.
All right, Taryn, you're
So
perfect.
am
We get
I.
it. It's
As a
fine.
not
I'm
son,
joking.
as
I'm
a
making bad
daughter,
jokes.
unfamiliar with that one.
I am
Okay.
showing my
Special
age because
brand
I'm sorry.
All right. So, Rob, would you like to go first with the most worst thing about getting older? English is one of the worst things about getting older. I forget all of it.
One of the worst things about getting older.
Would you like me to start your 5 minutes? 5 minutes, sir.
I really don't have my thing, so I'm just going to have to make it up on the spot.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about the That's Rank podcast.
Yeah,
We've had no time to prepare for this.
Yeah, sure.
No time
Okay.
at all. So,
Okay.
Rob,
Yep.
your 5 minutes begins now. All right,
I'm really lost.
wait.
Okay, hold on.
I've got something if you want me to go first.
Do you want to go first? Because I'm a bit lost, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, start me now. Start me now.
Okay, all right, Taryn. All right. What was that game you played? You could have gone first the entire time. All right, here we go.
No, it only just came to me watching Rob stumble. Go on.
Gotcha. Go.
Okay. The one thing that I think is the worst thing about getting older, not necessarily aging, is the way that you experience the world, in that you lose parts of your imagination.
Oh.
So that only came
okay.
to me because I feel like as a kid, someone would be like, here is this fire truck, and he's holding like an acorn, and other children are like, for shizzle, I'm down. I see it.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, let's go. Like, yeah, no, like, here we go. Fire truck coming through.
Yeah.
As an adult, we're like, oh, isn't that cute? He thinks that's a fire truck. Like, where's your imagination?
I got this
I
one. It's a
remember-
police car. That's a shit. Put it down, please. Put it down.
That's a poo. Please release it. I remember very key moments in my childhood where we were left to our own devices, usually over school holidays, or on the weekends where chores were being done and you kind of did yours first, or whatever it is where you're left alone for what felt like an eternity is probably only 25 minutes.
Mhm.
Or on school holidays when you're left at home. Like in South Africa, we had a nanny we would be at home with while my parents were working really hard to provide for the family during the day. And when I got a bit older, it was just me and my brother because I could look after him. And great days, you'd be able to sit, lounge around, do whatever you like. But I remember spending hours, what felt like hours if they weren't actually hours, wandering around the garden and just making shit up in my head about what was going on in the garden. So like and I remember every backyard I've ever had because of the time I used to spend in the gardens. Like one backyard I had this bamboo like tree forest bit and then a massive tree, and I refused to climb the tree because I was really scared of breaking bones and stuff when I was a kid. But I remember I had a whole narrative of like what was going on in the bamboo forest. Like I had a big thing about fairies. I had a thing about like the trees being homes for like little creatures and these little people that I'd made up in my head. And I used to talk to the trees and like leave little sticks and leaf piles. And it's really interesting because like I'll walk around this beautiful property in Floriat, and this kid the other day was making a little fire pit in just like the open space, and it was really funny watching him do that, get all dirty. Like he was on his knees, his beautiful like new tracky pants and shoes getting all dirty, and dad was just kind of sitting off to the side being like he's enjoying himself, so I'm not going to tell him off. But you could tell dad wasn't as in the zone as the kid was because you just don't have the same imagination.
Sure.
To the kid, he's building a bonfire, the flames are going higher than the treetops, you know what I mean? Like you could occupy yourself for hours on a playground because of all the spaceship inventions you're making. You make friends with random kids who just get on board with the imagination. And I think it's interesting that children all have this ability to imagine. Like I was watching Ultimatum, and one of the characters was saying she used to be like make her brother be the girl in like a little mummy daddy home situation that they imagined. And the brother would get annoyed and be like, oh, but I'm a boy, I should be the dad. But the way that she imagined the story was like, oh no, you have to be the girl because you really like cooking, and we need like you need to cook out of this little plastic thing that we've made. And he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like he's in it. He's like, all right, making burger patties, here we go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And
100%.
I think it carries through. I mean, I'm not going to talk about drugs, but it carries through when you are an adult and
But
you
here you
see
go.
the result of it in like stupid shows like Rick and Morty. Like the imagination is just like it's re-triggered by, I think,
I think the imagination nowadays is based on reality, though, in a way. Like people like get that imagination from their experiences, whereas when you're a kid,
it's satirical.
it's all in here. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, as a kid, it's literally like you're entertaining yourself and figuring out the world, processing things purely because you have the time and space and imagination to do so. Like it's bonkers. It's bonkers to me, and I love it. I think it's awesome. And I think that is maybe the worst thing about growing up, because not growing up, getting older, because things become too set in reality. Although small caveat, when you can bring imagination into things, you can recapture that childhood like innocence and the childhood fun. Like it's just a
30
certain
seconds.
thrill,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys have any imaginative moments as
Mm.
kids? Do you remember stuff because of the imagination you had around it?
Oh, 100%. 100%. When you were talking about the trees and the forests and stuff like that out in your yard, I used to all the time. I'm pretty sure I used to well, first of all, 10 seconds. Anything else you want to chuck in towards the end?
No, I think I just maybe clarify that it's like childhood imagination because I know that there are
Yes.
filmmakers and creators these
Yeah.
days that have to imagine. I'm talking about the child, where you could do the same thing 700 times because you
Yeah.
imagine it's
Yeah, yeah.
something like a new world.
No, I think
Yeah.
you did a good job explaining that that's what it was for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm out.
That was good. That was
Thank
a
you for having
solid
me.
that
That
was a
was
solid
really,
5
I like
minutes
that one.
of talking
Yeah,
about
Yeah.
yeah.
your
I was
topic.
I
That's
was in it. I
amazing.
literally
Yeah.
was remembering walking past the ferns in my backyard in South Africa, and I had this little glitter thing, and I would just, like, sprinkle the glitter over
Mhm.
and probably, like, poison the whole garden, poor little snails just swallowing up all this plastic. But in my head, I was like, I could do that for hours, just
Yeah.
hours, you know?
Yeah,
Just being
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
I'm now, like, gracing this new little countryside with all this magic, and this is what's happening, and this little stick is gonna be this person, like,
I
just
I went
hours.
I went to a first birthday party on the weekend, and I was surrounded by all these kids from ages from 1 to 5, and Rob, you got little, nieces and nephews, so you probably,
Mm.
attest to this. They can just take anything and just start banging it together, and they're just whatever's going on in their head, they're just like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in their
Yeah,
imagination, they're
yeah,
like, "Okay, this
yeah.
is like, you know I'm fighting crime."
Yeah.
And it's just kind of fascinating and fun just to watch it all happen and just be like, I try and decipher what the story is and create a little narrative for
Yeah.
myself.
Mm,
It's
mm.
so clever actually, the way that
Yeah.
sometimes kids, like, you can hear them and you're like, "Oh, is it that?" And they're like, "Why are you acting like I'm lying? Like, it is that. Like, get on
Yeah.
board." Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I love
Stop
that one.
stop stop talking down to me, adult. It
Yeah.
is that. Can't you see? Can't you see?
We had
Oh, that's
this
a really good one,
most
Taryn.
fantastic
Thanks.
imagination. We would
God
create
damn.
whole narratives,
Oh,
whole narratives within the backyard, within the living rooms. Like we would create scenes, we would be characters. Like you create backstory. Like we'd
Yep.
return to stories in and out. Like it was, yeah. The imagination of
Yeah.
childhood is really special. And why? Yeah, what happens as we get
Yeah.
older? Because we're talking about getting older. I like that response because it wasn't about getting older, as in getting older, into like our twilight years. It was actually just about getting older and not being kids anymore. And like, what God, it was such a good time of life
Yeah.
being a kid, wasn't it? Like, for not for everybody, but for a lot of people. But childhood
yeah.
Yeah.
spirit was is a fantastic thing. The
Yeah, and I
imagination.
think imagination's different to playing, although I think you can do both. I think, like, creating a world, like, out of being completely bored is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
now we don't do that because we've got something in our face all the time. Like, if I were to sit here and imagine something, I literally replay memories in my head or imagine how some event in real life might go. I don't sit there and go, "Oh my god, that book looks like it could be a castle if I just lean it this way." Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so
Yeah. Now,
different.
now, now, if you have nothing going on, you usually think about what you're not doing
Mm.
or something that's terrible that's happened to you. And you're just going back into your head going, why am I thinking about this now? It's because there's
Yeah.
nothing else going on. It's just like trauma,
I wonder
trauma.
if we can recapture that. Anyway, we can talk about this at the end. Have you guys got a ranky rank?
Uh, I think so. The problem with the give me 1 second, guys. Sorry.
Have you got something, Rob? Are you anything bouncing around in your head?
I've actually got lots of ideas bouncing around in my head. I could probably pull one. I could probably go with one. If I could go with one, I think I could do it.
If you need to, yes, you do. You
See,
need to at some point.
I had a few,
Mm-hmm.
and now after Taryn's, I'm like,
Well, you were
idiot.
thinking of like things like body aches.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could talk to that actually. I mean, we all feel that, right?
Yeah, we do. And the older you get, goodness me,
Yeah,
gets worse.
100%, 100%.
All right,
Yeah.
I think I think I've got one. I'm not too sure if I'm going to get 5 minutes out of it, but I can give it a red hot crack. Rob, what do you
Do your
reckon?
best.
Yeah, go for it, Liam. I've got like so many that I could
Okay.
wistfully talk about.
So many that you could wistfully talk about.
Yeah, I don't know why I put wistfully in there, but I liked it as a word, so I threw it in there.
Yeah.
You know
Maybe
why?
you. Maybe,
Because of my imagination. Actually,
would,
no,
would
that's
you
not
like? To,
really
would
my
you? Would,
imagination.
would, would you want to go
Imagination
there?
is
Do,
cool.
do you want to go there?
No, I'm actually quietly panicking because I've got too many choices at the moment. Like I've got a few. I can go.
You need to see what vibe
Okay,
we're giving
I'll go.
the
I'll go.
next
I'll go.
two.
I'll go. I'll go. Okay. I'll start my 5 minutes right about now. So I'm the same as Rob. I had a couple in my head, and Taryn, you were right. One of mine was how getting up in the morning just hurts all the time, like constantly.
Amen.
But no, I think I might go something a little bit more not serious in a way, but I guess the expectation of seriousness as you get older, and that is just basically the guilt trip of getting older. And let me explain. So sometimes when I come into my room, like I'll get my room set out like and you guys can see it. I got art on the wall. I got a spinny wheel. I got coffee cups. I got like all sorts of stuff. Taryn, don't get too close. You might.
I want to feel like I'm in there.
And
These blinds are dusty. Sorry.
Legit though, they are. But that's what I'm talking about. I should have my shit together, right? I should have these blinds should be clean. There should be dust free room. But I look around it and I'm like, it wouldn't be unrealistic for someone to walk into this room and be like, it's a bit childish, isn't it? I've got like a case full of some old animes that I like and some books and stuff that adults don't read, quote unquote. Even like I got t-shirts hanging on the back of the door from things that I've done. Like sometimes I feel like I don't fit into that what I'm meant to be at the age that I'm at. Right now, I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm feeling quite good for someone in my late 30s, and I think that's because I've recaptured some of that stuff after I went through one of those things you're meant to do stages. In my late 20s, early 30s. But even things like at the moment, I'm looking at jobs and I'm looking at this kind of stuff, and we had our perfect example. We had our 20-year high school reunion about 3 or 4 months ago. I didn't go from the sheer fear of being judged for what I was doing now with my life. And, that's something that you don't really get when you're in your, mid to late 20s. You kind of expect it to go out and do all the fun stuff, do what you're doing, Taryn, and, picking up and taking off and shipping off to another country. Who's to say that we can't do that, in your 30s, 40s, 50s? Doesn't really matter what age you are, but there's that societal kind of expectation that you're meant to be in a certain spot, have done this, done this, done this. I think that notion has changed quite a bit over the last maybe decade or so.
Sounds a bit old school, but I know what you mean.
Well, it's a bit old school. So I'm in between two schools, right?
Yeah.
So we got the new school and the old school, and I think Rob and myself are kind of in the middle school. we're in the middle school. Like I have conversations with my mum all the time. They're really like good and productive conversations.
Yeah.
But you can tell where the splits are, like in terms of what was, what is now, even things like work expectations. Like if you're sick, you just take a day. You don't push yourself to go in. That's such a foreign idea to that generation. But there's like a guilt trip now. Even now, when you go to work, like that, you're like, people look at me and they go, "Why are you taking a day off? Shouldn't you be like more robust? Shouldn't you be just pushing through it? Shouldn't you be going gung ho?"
It's your responsibility. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Exactly right. And it's with everything. Like the question I get asked all the time, it's just like, oh, so any kids? Oh, no kids. Oh, you planning on kids?
Hell, yeah.
No, not really planning on kids. Like if it happens, it
Not
happens.
are children your goal? No, cool.
Yeah.
I'll never ask that again. Shut up.
Exactly right. But that's the kind of but it's the reaction sometimes. It's like, oh,
yeah.
They try and sometimes they mask it with like but you'd make a great dad. Like, yeah, I know I would make a great dad, but that's not the point. The point is like it's kind of like you're now this age, you're now meant to be doing this certain thing. And, I've been married. I did that. And I've now feel more strangely like I'm in my 20s now, pushing towards my late 40s. And I feel a little bit guilty about that. I shouldn't, but sometimes I do. And I think that just comes with, with getting older, is sometimes you just have that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? And then it takes a lot to be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm doing it. Who cares? Who cares what age I am, what I'm doing, where I am? It's just like, yeah. So that's mine. I pulled it out. I put it out of nowhere. I've got 20 seconds. But that's mine. What's the worst thing about getting older? Feeling a bit of guilt about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the expectations and the pressure
That's it.
to be a
I'll
certain.
I'll yield my final 10 seconds.
The expectations and the pressure to be at a certain place, to be doing certain things, it's very
Yeah.
real, and you kind of think those things will never get to you, but they actually do. They catch you by surprise sometimes. It's like, pressure goes both ways. We can put pressure on ourselves. Society can put pressure on us. Sometimes pressure makes us do good things as well. Sometimes, like, people make
Sure.
good decisions and find new opportunities because of pressure. But I think the big thing that I've found is that as I've gotten older, I've actually felt that pressure is kind of real. And when I was younger, I used to kind of always think that it kind of wasn't. I was like, I'm never going to let them put pressure on me to be a certain thing or do a certain thing. But then you get to a certain point, and you're like, well, actually, maybe I wanted to do that, and maybe, like, my opportunities to do that are less, and maybe, you start to kind of. It's weird. It's weird how deeply ingrained those pressures are in many ways, in
It's
negative and positive ways.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are subconscious too. Like there's inbuilt from what you've experienced growing up and doing that kind of stuff. It's just kind of inbuilt. It's just in there.
And
Just
beyond culture, like literally
Mm.
inbuilt into your wiring to want to
Mhm.
reproduce, etc. Those kind of pressures. Like there's a literal kind of. Sorry, Taryn.
No, I was just gonna say, don't you find it quite freeing to go against the guilt trip expectations? Like, I don't know, the anime collection's very small example, but it gives
I
you pleasure, and then every now and then someone will come along and be like, "Oh, dude, these are fucking sick. I remember
100%.
reading this," or like, "I've
Mhm.
got a collection like this,"
Yeah,
or "I sold my collection from 19, I don't know, 20, and I made $1 billion." Like a little bit of
yeah,
satisfaction of
yeah,
like, fuck society. Like, there is no way anyone's going to tell me how I want to live. Like, there is no way that I'm going to feel guilty forever. So little things that you do, and eventually bigger things, to get yourself out of the guilt trip.
yeah,
So satisfying. So
yeah.
satisfying.
I think that's something that I actually think I'm thankfully pretty good at. Like in terms of being able to separate a lot of it. It's just those they do creep in. Like Rob was saying, like sometimes they just kind of hit you at the
Yeah.
weirdest times. Like
Oh, yeah,
like
I feel that as well. Like, it's at every age, even in high school. Oh, I have to pass my exams. I have to give up hanging out with my friends or trying to, imagine a film in my backyard because I've got to study for a maths exam. Like, those
yeah,
little things where you're like the guilt trip of, oh, you're playing, you need to be studying. Or,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
totally.
I
It
think it's
starts from a young
I,
age.
I think it's a bell curve. It starts at like age nothing. It's like this, and then pressure gets up to like in your 40-ish, and
Kills
then
you. Yeah.
once you get 50, who gives a fuck anymore, really?
Yeah. Because they're like, oh, he's over 50. We don't care what he does anymore. Or like, he
Yeah,
doesn't give a fuck. And we know that. And it's all good.
Mm.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
your life does change, and you do change as you go through phases of life as well. Like, and I think, like, I've rebelled
yeah,
against the very notion of phases of life, but now I'm at a point where actually, like,
Yeah.
on our last holiday, like, we went on a holiday, and I still felt young like, to a
yeah,
degree, like, going on that holiday, but I was really
Yeah.
reflecting a lot on that I'm not actually, like, I'm not, and like the way I traveled and the way I'd experienced it, I'd been to Japan 13 years before, and then I was back in Japan after 13 years, and my experience was very different from the time we landed in the airport. Like, it wasn't as I guess awe-inspiring is a funny way of saying it, but like I had changed a lot, and my needs as a traveler had changed a lot as well,
Mm,
for the both good and bad. Like, like, you kind of figure yourself out a little bit more, and you know what you need, and you know what you don't want to spend your time in, and maybe I don't want to be waking up at 6 a.m. because I'm on holidays. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you know
yeah,
yourself a little bit more, but like, it is,
but
yeah, you
but
go through
you're
phases of life, and it does shift and change how you experience. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
you are right though. The guilt does leave you on those trips though, because I didn't mind going out and getting white girl wasted every night of that trip, because it's like, well, A,
mm,
I'm on holiday, and B, no one knows me here except for you guys, so it's like, and you guys don't
mm.
care, so
Yeah.
there's that guilt is just not
There
there
was no,
like
yeah.
when you're here.
Rob, I can't wait to hear your rank.
Me neither, Taryn. Me neither.
All right, let me just prepare your 5.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want
I
me to just
really
go?
I'll
You
go
want me to
for it.
start
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I'll just have to think
Okay,
about it on the spot.
okay, go.
I'm tossing up 3 options, and I'm trying to figure out, like,
Damn.
what's the worst thing about getting older.
What's going
Um,
to make you win the rank, more importantly?
Well, it's probably more. I've got a few honorable mentions, so I'll get to those honorable mentions at the end. But I'm going to say the worst part about getting older is that you can only do things for the first time once.
Sure.
I think there's a certain kind of special quality to the first experience of things. There's a certain, particularly when you're younger, like there's a certain excitement, like a naive kind of excitement that things happen, and when you experience a thing, kind of both good and bad, like the emotional side of it is just so much more intense. I think like there's
Mm.
and I guess there's kind of like there's an excitement for what's to come when things happen, and it's just simply experiencing that thing for the very first time. It's a very powerful thing. It's possibly when you're at your most nervous. It's possibly when you're at your most kind of vulnerable as well, because you're going into things the
Yeah.
first time. But I think, and even though things can be terrifying for that first time, the idea of overcoming things, the idea of finding new strengths, the idea of self-discovery, like all the things that come with venturing a little bit into the unknown, um, it's just an incredible thing. And then as you do get older, like that's not just like you can always find something for the first time. And I think that's an attitude that you've got to kind of bring to it, because it is very easy to start to prioritize comfort. It's
Mm.
very easy to start to prioritize other things. Like as I get older, I am quite happy to kind of be a bit more of a homebody. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want the hangover so much, so I don't go out
What?
to so
Why?
many big
Those things are
big
great, man. Everyone loves
nights.
a good hangover. What are you talking about?
You start to like maybe dwell a bit too much on the cost of things, as
Mm.
opposed to looking at the opportunity of things that can kind of come along. So when you're younger, you just there's a bit of a naivety to the way you kind of go about it, a bit more reckless abandon, and that combined with like just the more kind of, I guess, the power of the emotion of something as well. And I think hormonally as well. I think our brains things are popping off in a more powerful way. I think as we're developing too.
Mhm.
So I think just like the way we're inspired, the way I'm inspired by things like music and art. Like I used to be inspired, whereas now I feel like it's more finding a resonance. Like things find a resonance, and I'm like, oh, I'm taking this experience and I'm melding it to my experience, and I'm finding something that resonates, and that's what gives it meaning. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't have those experiences, so new things were coming, and it was inspiring, and it was something just so much more interesting and powerful about that first experience of anything.
Yeah.
And it's
Mm.
what, and it's still so amazing when you find it now, and you can always find it, but you've got to search for it, and things come up they surprise you, but they just don't come up as often, I think.
You talking
Yeah.
And I
about
think
the butterflies you get, like or like that feeling that you get when you do something for the first
mm,
time? It's really like exciting. Like when was the
mm.
last time you had butterflies for anything? I'm not sure I'm doing this.
I
Butterflies.
get
Because the butterflies pull
nervous.
your neck.
Like I get like public speaking. There's a few times public speaking doesn't make me that nervous, but like
But you're a
there's
pro at it, man. You're a pro.
at the bareface things, I still get nervous. Like I still get really
Yeah.
nervous doing those, which I think is why I do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't get that nervous in other situations.
Is that an addictive
Um,
feeling though? Is that like the feeling you're talking about that you're kind of lacking? So like you're just jumping into that bare face because like, oh, there's that feeling that I just don't get anymore of that
well,
that nervous kind of first time.
I think as well you have to work harder for it as well.
Mm,
Like I think I could be self satisfied when I was younger just by giving something a go, whereas now as I
sure.
get older, I don't want to just give it a go. I want to start seeing some success. I want to start seeing some development, and the only way to get there is through hard work.
Mm,
So I think it's also recognizing that it's not so much about the easy thrills, so to speak. Like I think it's about recognizing that the things that as I get older or as I've experienced life, the things that I look back on with like in the most fondest way, the things that I really had to work for and really had to earn. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I think it's a bit more. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's probably more. I
We got
think it's
15
you
seconds
recognize
to
it's harder to get. It's harder to get. Like
yeah.
those kind of feelings are harder to get for me now, and I have to like, yeah, and they come from different places. They come from a more um, a complex place. So complexity is key, but it's a shame that we don't have those first time thrills.
Interesting.
That is
I
interesting.
I
I'm
tend to
conflicted on that one because I feel like
That's because you're a decade younger than us. You don't understand.
Well, I also feel like there's a lot of things I'm really grateful I will never have to experience for the first time again.
Yeah.
No, that's
Like
true.
interviews, heartbreak, that sort of thing. Just like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so great.
but
I mean, not that I won't experience it again. I just for the first time because that shit rocks your world. But in another way, like it's good that you went through it. And I don't know. Depends what it is. That's a tricky one. I see pros and
I don't.
cons.
I don't know if it was so much the sense of the actual reason for that first time, but it's just more so the diminishing effect of that first time, good or bad.
Yeah.
Like I think is that more what you were trying to say, Rob?
Yeah. I think there's a certain, and even you look back at those memories, Tara, and like even the darkest times sometimes have like the best stories that are attached to them. Like you kind of reflect. Not obviously you don't reflect on everything positively. Like some things are legitimately hard, but I guess you have to find that acceptance with those things as well, right? Like you have to kind of go, well, they made me who I am.
Yeah.
And even there's the two sides of the coin. The first time of lots of things can be really, really hard and difficult too. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that's a
it's
good
something
one.
about, but there's a preciousness to the memory still.
I knew it would happen. Every now and then we get into these topics and we're like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. But we get into a bit of a philosophical conversation.
Mm.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's important to kind of, take these opportunities to dive into something, that maybe we're feeling, getting off our chest. Yeah. Honorable mentions. I don't understand the young kids of today. Hey, I just do not understand them. Music, TikTok, doing dances like fucking and then it's like doing
Oh,
like
come on. That's not even that
no,
young. Go
no,
on.
that's no. It's like I see people at work doing it. It's like, hey, you got this TikTok? Check this out, and they show it to me, and I said, that's not fucking funny or entertaining. Get it out of my face. That's how
Hey,
I
that
know.
sounds like a personality clash. I feel like
I
the
don't
fact
know.
that young kids do things that like technology, for example, blows my mind. Like
Yeah.
being in the digital space when I see children, like actual children using technology a way I could never even dream to use it. I'm like, man, I feel redundant.
Yeah, but is that not teaching young kids that they're redundant? Like you actually don't need to learn any of this. The computer will do it for you. Is there that danger in there?
Or the computer allows them to harness a creativity that we never could and do things a lot quicker. So back in my parents' day, they had to do everything with pen and paper.
Mhm.
And we get to do it on technology. Like it makes things so much quicker, much more advanced. AI, I'm all on board with AI because one day someone's going to put a chip on my brain and I'm not going to have to travel to fucking Sydney to scan my fingerprints because all my digital identity will be right here in the back of my fucking brain and I won't have to move. I'll be able to go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Germany in a fucking
No. You won't
second.
be able to. You won't be able to. No, you won't.
Yes, I
Because
will.
the German consulate's still going to be like, excuse me, we need to see all these papers in person before you can go to Germany. You know what's going to happen.
Children, you must come and visit still. We want to see your face.
But
Yeah,
I do worry about ageism being like a big thing as as technology is moving so fast, and as particularly younger generations are born with it. Like I do worry that ageism is going to become more of a thing. Like there's the there is a thing about being really successful. Really successful when you're younger. I don't know. I guess it was always kind of there, and maybe it's because I'm now getting older. I'm worried about ageism, but I can see it as a real
do you mean
thing for the first time.
being successful when you're younger is something they've driven to us as well? Is
They
that what you
did, but
mean?
I feel there's something, I don't know, there's something about this
What's just
hustle
different?
culture that's been there's I guess
It's
maybe it's a phase of culture as well. Like there's been this kind of hustle culture that's been kind of floating
it's
around,
just
which is
instant. It's instant. It's in your face. It's right now.
yeah,
So that's what it is. We had to send it like a mail to each other, or like pick up the landline and be like, "Hey, do you want to come
I
over to
think
play
there's
some
just I think
sports?"
there's just a lot of flexing. I think there's just a lot of flexing in and around kind of achievement and in and
But
around
that's not that's not the
what
worst thing
people
about getting. That's not the worst thing about getting older. That's the worst thing about being
yeah.
young.
Lack of
Super
humility.
honorable mention to body aches. I
Super,
experienced
yeah.
my first realization that my metabolism was slowing down last year, and I was like, I'm 27. There is no way this should be happening to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at my prime at 30, and how am I going to do that? And then immediately after that, my appetite sliced in half. And I was like, okay, let's see how this might work and sustain me for life.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to dinner being like, I could eat 7 bowls of this. I'm like, I could have one and be satisfied.
What?
What is this?
What are you talking about?
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
so this is one thing I used to do when I was a young man. I'd hit that level of satisfaction and push right on past and keep on stuffing my face.
But getting older is really expensive. But
Isn't life just expensive now?
Oh my God, the
But
fact that
getting
it's
old is
expensive, yes.
Like your travel insurance.
Oh, I see what you
However-
mean. I see what you mean. It's true. I know it's already expensive for me, man, with my back and my knees.
I feel like there is, and I look forward for all of us to the age where your income becomes so disposable, you feel nothing to give it away or to buy what you want, and that's
when do you
hang on, Taryn,
envisage that happening? When's that happening, Taryn?
when you give less
do you
fucks and you've worked really hard
do you
in your life to be able to have an income / the Australian government's going to take care of us all, right? 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 I pay my taxes. Do you know what's so sad?
Taryn.
Actually, do you know what's really sad? My HEX debt interest is going up 7.2%. I now owe more than I owed when I first completed my degrees.
Isn't that just fucked up?
What?
10 years ago.
Yeah,
really?
That's one thing that sucks about getting
I owe
older.
more. My engineering degree, I started paying off. I didn't even get the degree. It was 1 year. I started paying it off. It was looking all sweet, all good, fan dandy. And then after COVID, those interest rates went up. I now owe more than what I started with, which is,
Jesus.
I don't see it ever ending. I'm just going to continuously owe 10 grand more every year until, I don't know, I die. And then it gets passed on to not my kids, because I might not have any of those, but you know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
Well, if there's ever a reason to have one, Taryn, pass that debt on.
The stress of me stressing about them stressing about money would stress me out.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress. That's a lot of stress.
That is one
thing. Actually, that's part of the reason I don't want to have kids. I don't want to bring kids into this fucked up world. Everything is so fucking hard. Everything is hard. You can't even use a printer without it letting you down. You know what I mean? Like, everything's so hard.
I honestly do think about that all the time when people ask me that question. Are you having kids? I'm like, well, do I want to bring one into the world at the moment? But then I also think about it. It's like the world's always.
Are you serious?
Yeah, with technology where it's currently at, no, thank you.
Bring back the facts, is what I say. Bring it back.
Pen and paper, baby.
Pen and paper all the way. Do you know what? I reckon there'll be a point where it'll just go down like that, though. It'll get a point to a technology, and then we'll all just revert back to rocks and sticks and.
It'll be called a solar flare.
Have you seen the new glasses that Apple's releasing? The AI, the virtual reality, but they're like
the Macho Man glasses.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, I do believe this. I do believe this is that a lot of the movies we've seen in the past have based their stories on things that they think will happen, but they're all super accurate. Like WALL-E is like one of those ones. Babe.
Wow.
We're all going to be sitting. Wow. We're going to be sitting in a thing with our fucking visor strapped on, just being fat and just doing that, and then the world's just going to happen around us. Give it time. Give it time.
Human connection and humanity will win out. I reckon
it will. It will. Hopefully, we've done it before. We'll do it again.
It has to.
It
needs to.
If not, then I guess Elon will be on Mars all by himself having a great time. So
as long as he puts that chip in my brain before he does that, that'd be great.
This is the thing. Such a different take on it. I'm petrified about having anything like that done.
This visa experience has really changed you, Taryn. It's really.
I've always been pro technology. Go on.
Yeah, you have. All right, guys, we've come to that point of the night. We have to rank. We've got to do it now. Last week when we had Mr. Dean with us, we had the notion of you couldn't vote for yourself. Now, do you think that will work in a 3-way dance?
Oh, I thought that was just for the rapid.
No, we did that for the. No. The rapid was just we chose one. In the actual rank itself,
true.
You couldn't choose your own one as in the rank. So in this case, I would choose my 1 and my 2, and around the horn we would go.
I think I prefer it. I think I prefer not picking your own.
No.
Listen, she thinks she's going to win. That's why she wants to
No, actually, I know who I'm going to pick, and it's not mine. But I think, I don't know, with only 3 opinions, it would be really hard to choose between 2.
Yeah, that's why I put it out there, because obviously with 4, it's much easier to do that kind of.
It is harder with just 2.
So let's have a quick reminder. So we've got. So Taryn, yours was imagination. Imagination.
Childhood imagination.
Mine was the guilt trip of aging,
The guilt trip of aging
and
or
Rob's what?
responsibility.
And then Rob's was first time, not so fun
Yeah.
time, no more.
First time only comes once. You only get one shot.
You only get one shot to not. What is it?
Miss a chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a
Comes once in a
lifetime.
lifetime. You better.
Yep.
The soul's
Put
escaping.
yourself
Just
in
whole
the music
escaping.
the moment you want it. You better never let it go.
Well, this is going to be tricky.
So
This is going to be a tricky one to
this is
rank.
a really tricky. I'm finding ranking harder and harder, to be honest. Like I feel like
That's because you're getting older, man. So how
I
about
think we're getting better at it. No, it's because we're getting better at it.
I think that's what it is. We're getting better at it, and like we've owned our craft. We're nearly at 100 episodes in. If we're not good at it by now, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
True.
I feel like
Right.
Okay, let me work this out. Let me talk through some logic here. So, what's the exact wording of the rank again, please, Liam?
The worst thing about getting older.
So it's the worst thing about getting older. So for me, I have to. Oh, even though like I do soulfully miss my childhood imagination, I don't feel like I feel like I've lost maybe that as I've gained experience and wisdom and knowledge. Like I don't feel like it's the worst thing about getting older is that I'm no longer a child and no longer have that
You
kind
don't want
of
to escape
childish
to an imaginary
imagination.
world in your garden.
I still kind of do, but it's just like it's just different. I think it's a really good one. It made me really. I was on. This is the thing. Like I was almost going to go to
No,
that
I
number
hear
one,
you. It's maybe not the
but
worst. Yeah.
now I'm like, is it the worst part of it? You know, like in the spirit of the question, I think I am going to have to put that 3, Taryn. And then it's going to come down between me and Liam is what's the worst part of getting older? It's either, and you know what? I feel like when it comes to pressures, even though I feel like there is a real world thing to that as I've gotten older. I used to be younger and think it would never happen to me. But as I've gotten older, I realized, oh my God, like I'm putting pressures on myself. And am I where you raise a good point, Taryn. When we all get to that age when we've got disposable income, it's like, am I ever going to get to that age? Like,
Yeah.
and at what cost? What soul destroying work will I have to do to get there? And what does that even mean? Like that's
Deal
such a
with the guilt
foreign.
trip. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely that guilt trip going on, but I feel like I can exercise a choice about that guilt trip still. Like I have a bit more control over that guilt trip as I do to not getting the opportunities to do things like I used to have. You only get one shot, and once it's gone, it's gone. And I feel like that is the worst part about getting older is that realization really starts to hit me more and more the older I get. I'm like, damn.
So your number
Things change.
So your
Yeah,
number one is.
I'm going to stick to myself as 1. I feel weird doing that now, but I'm going to go me 1, you 2, Taz 3.
Okay.
Yep.
I am going to flip and reverse it. I actually really like when Taryn was talking about the imagination and not having that anymore. I can actually feel it and sense it. Like I can actually feel like what it was like back when I was a kid and how like carefree and how lovely it is to be in that kind of ignorance, in that blissful ignorance, and just being able to create your own universe and create your own life in a sense. Like you're putting things together. Your synapses are firing on all cylinders. You're like trying to piece knowledge together to put stories together to make sense of everything. And that was exciting. And it's I think that's why. And nowadays it's just really reality is what you think about most of the time. Like trying to get get an original thought, at least for me anyway. I'm not talking about everybody, at least for me anyway. Trying to come up with and this is why I love doing this podcast, because it's my creative outlet. I don't have that imagination anymore. It's just not there. Like I'm too busy focusing on life. So for that reason, I'm putting imagination number 1. I'm putting myself number 2, the guilt trip, because I do feel that more than anything. And I'm only putting yours number 3, Rob, because I'm still trying to narrow it down to exactly what the crux of it was. If it was the first time, jitters. I kind of got it from a sense of you got to do things for a first time. Give it to me. Give me like a really quick brief, really quickly. Probably
Well,
won't change anything.
it was literally you can only do things for the first time once. You've only got the one chance. That's it.
Okay. No, I'm gonna put that 3. Sorry, pal. I think
Okay.
not because it's the worst. We talk about this all the time. Actually,
Top 3, baby.
the best top three. So that's mine. Flip, reverse, Robs. You got mine. Taryn.
Oh no. This is really hard because I see
It's not
pros
an
and
easy one.
cons. I see
Mm.
pros
Not an
and
easy
cons with being able to do things, not being able to do things for the first time ever again. Because I agree on some of it. I think most of it, I'm glad I don't have to do things for the first time again. I love, like, I can't think of anything that I'm like, damn, I'd love to do that for the first time again. But I am in a stage of my life where I'm doing a lot of things for the first time that are, I guess, yeah.
It's a tricky one for
I
you to rank at the moment. To be
Yeah,
fair,
and
that one,
I
yeah.
also and I also get like mad anxiety. So like for me, a lot of first time experiences are kind of ruined by that. Like speaking in public, starting a new job, getting into a relationship, getting out of one, traveling, making decisions on certain things, life decisions. I think I prefer the aftermath of that sort of thing. I don't enjoy the first time experience of it. Um, Although on the other hand, I totally understand the wonderment of like seeing, an animal that you've always wanted to, like, I remember the first time I saw a tiger and I'm never going to see another one again and be like, oh, so that's what they look like. Or like going to my first concert when I was a kid being like, oh my God, this is what it feels like. So there's the total wonderment of that on the other hand. So this is a really tricky one. I think when you say the context of the topic, worst thing about getting older is the expectation. Again, pros and cons for me because I feel like I don't fit into the expectations and therefore I don't feel I feel the guilt trip, but I also feel like I'm very privileged in that I'm not guilt tripped a lot because I have been and I am able to have parents that don't expect me to get into a marriage and have babies, and I don't have a work like situation that is like, when are you going to climb the ladder and get to the next step? And I don't have friends who are like, I don't know, maybe
Can I
if
jump
my
in real?
friends started
I,
doing
Can I
like
jump
I
in real quick? Can I jump in real quick? I just wanted to quickly say I don't have parents or friends like that either. So
me neither.
yeah.
This is the thing about it. It sneaks up
Yeah.
on you. Like I never had those things
thing,
either.
right? Because like it's like what you feel like who you feel is giving you the guilt trip. Like
I think it's just a societal thing. Like
I
for
think we do it to ourselves a little bit as well. Like it's your
sure.
expectations
Yeah,
of
yeah,
yourself
100%.
based on
100%.
what society expects. I
Sure,
think
sure,
that
sure,
is
sure.
probably like in a context, the worst thing about aging is how other people expect things of you and then having to make a decision based on, am I doing it because I want to or because I need to? And I think I face that quite a lot because like traveling is like, I know I should want to travel and spend my money as a young person, but I want to figure out, like, the reason I'm traveling is because I want to figure out my dress sense, the kind of people I like, people I want to date, that sort of thing. Like I'm trying to figure that sort of thing out.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege, but it's also like the expectation has held me back a lot in a lot of ways.
Well, this rank is going to be
And
very different for people in different parts of the world, for sure.
for sure.
Very, very different. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
imagination thing, like I feel like it'd be so nice to sink back into that, but at the same time I don't miss it. It's only, for me, it's the worst thing about getting older is that you lose it. But then you can capture different things, like you said, knowledge and experience. Oh my God. For me, they're all on an equal playing field.
I know. I
don't
found the
know.
same way. Like it was super, super hard. This one,
It was
like
difficult.
really splitting
Very, very.
hairs to kind of pick three.
Um,
But we're here
can
to
I
bow
ask
to
where
the
we're I was going to ask where we're standing, but that doesn't really make sense.
Okay. So
That
at the
doesn't.
moment,
No. You can't do that. You can't.
I'm going to do it this. I'm going to do it this time. I'll tell you why. Unless
Why?
you don't want it. Okay, fine.
Why is
So
it this time? So no, I mean, look, I don't care that much, like, but I just think like it does. It does. It's better when
We're all
we
on
don't
4
know the
points. We're all on
scores.
4 points. We're all on 4 points. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
We're all the 4 points. That's all.
Okay.
You're gonna pick the winner.
That
No
was
pressure, Tony. No pressure.
Um,
No pressure, Tony. You're literally picking the order of the combined rank. No pressure. No pressure.
so the worst thing about getting older is the guilt trip, number one.
Yeah.
Only being able to do things for the first time, number two. Losing your
Wow.
imagination, number 3.
A cheeky Bartholomew.
Wow.
An unexpected Bartholomew, might I say.
Wow. And then she takes a big swig of a hot chocolate, like a that was a
Well,
flex.
because
That was just like,
I think
yeah.
I
You
think
look so comfortable right
imagination
now,
is
Taryn.
wanting
You don't
to
need to
look.
be in bed to look comfortable, mate. You look fucking comfy as shit right in that chair.
Join me, fellas. There are more chairs here.
Just a round table in the reading room. Thank you very much.
I've also changed from my seltzer to a hot chocolate, so I'm like ultimate comfy now.
That's aging right there, right there. You can
Right?
tell.
Adult.
Yeah. In one podcast, she's gone from seltzers to hot chocolate.
I needed
to
to
be
warm
honest-
up, and now I need to warm my soul.
No joke. No joke.
And we need to warm this bad boy down because we've gone long, but I think in a good way.
Yes,
In a good way.
and
We've
I
had a
need to
good.
pee because of all this liquid. So let's wrap this baby up.
Can't wait to
Yeah,
put that in the
me
podcast.
too.
All right, so all right.
I need to pee too, just because I pee much more frequently now. What I mean,
They're prostate. All right. So around the horn, 3-1. Let's get it done. Number 3 tonight, Taryn.
Losing your childhood imagination.
Number 2, Mr. Rob.
only being able to do things for the first time, one time.
And number 1, the worst thing about getting older is the consistent guilt trip of life. How do you wrap it up otherwise?
Societal pressures.
Well done, everybody. I feel like that whole episode was one big old final thought. Like it was just like no,
it kind of was. It was a bit of a bit more of a pondering episode, pondering
I
our
really like
mortality.
I like what you said before about it's a privilege to grow older. I really like that. I
Yeah,
think that should be the final thought.
That is the final thought. But before we get there, everyone at home who's watching, listening, what do you reckon the worst thing about growing up is? Or growing up? Don't grow up. What's the worst thing about getting older? Let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Sometimes we get into these conversations that are a bit more deep and meaningful. I like it. You guys like it? I think it's good.
I like it too.
I enjoy our chats. And that's what it's all about. Chats with
I think I do have a little final thing I wanted to say though.
Oh no, we'll get to you, man. We'll get to you. It's okay.
Good.
It's okay. Rob, what's your final thought?
Well, it goes to what Taryn was saying, that be grateful for getting older. But the other thing is you can't put your arms around your memories is one of my favorite lines from a song. You can't put your arms around your memories. And I think that's really true. I think that is, and that's actually one of the hardest parts about getting older is that, you can't, like there's a difference between a moment and a memory, and you can't go back to the moment. However, it's so important that you've got those memories. It's so important that you continue to build those memories. And it's so important that when you're in the moment, you just appreciate and are grateful for the moment. Because the moment will become a memory, and you need to hold on to both as much as you can.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Thanks for joining us again, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.